Well, in this week's fishing tip, Ray and Mandy explore crankbaits and which types to use in different situations.
Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about crankbaits. And if you've ever been into a Fleet Farm store or a Bass Pro Shop, you know there's so many crankbaits. How in the world do you decide what to use? Well, what I like to do is break them down into sort of basic sizes. The very small crankbaits can be used for a panfish, crappies, sunfish. You'll catch small bass on them. But they're very small, and I like to sort of match the hatch. If you know what kind of bait you got in the lake, try to get a crankbait that will look somewhat like that. You can also get, if you're going to be a walleye fisherman, you can get baits that are about like this size. Those are kind of walleye baits. They can be used for northern pike too, but kind of the mid-range. And Mandy's going to talk a little bit about the lip style. And then you can go to larger crankbaits, and much larger than this too, but this happens to be a musky crankbait. And every different crankbait has a different application. And Mandy's going to talk a little bit about how you figure out what to use.
Multiple species, multiple different kinds. It's extremely confusing, and it can be. I'm going to give you some basic tips though, so when you go into that store, you're going to know what you're looking at for your application. So obviously, some of these need to be trolled behind a boat, and some of these can be casted. But besides that, they each have their own different action. And a good rule of thumb to start off when you look at these is, well, how do I know how deep they go? So here's a basic breakdown. Normally, the longer the bill that's on that crankbait, the deeper it's going to dive. So that bill works as an action to pull that bait down. So with that, so now you know the longer the bill, the deeper it goes, the shorter the bill, the shallower it goes. There again, these are small, they are on top, they're shallow waters, no bill at all. Second thing is they each have a different bill type, and there's a bill type for a specific vegetation. So you can see that this one, we call it a coffin, it has edges, and this one's completely square, and this one's round. So these are great if you're in vegetation, heavy vegetation, it'll pull through there. But if you're in rock and you're in wood, you either want a square bill or you want a coffin bill, because these corners, when they hit on it, it bounces it off instead of getting hung up in that rock structure.
Very good. Excellent information. I'm Ray Gill out with the Nisswa Guides League.
And I'm Annie Eric, the bass biologist.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland News, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution to Lakeland PBS.